Hey, I got these truthburgers, man. Want some?
No,
You can't handle the truth.
I just want to be in my safe space.
If you followed our channel, you'd notice by now that me and Ollie have a list of grievances to take up with old Hollywood.
I got a bone to pick with you.
Obnoxiously entitled female characters, pathetically incompetent males, misrepresentation of minorities via stereotypes, replacing good storytelling by hammering down audiences with one-sided political themes. Seriously, this list is as long as our single mom's body count.
Shit, boy.
But do you know what really rustles our jimmies?
You know what really grinds my gears?
It's Hollywood's batshit crazy depiction of masculinity, especially their obsession with toxic masculinity.
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 When applied to men, masculinity in modern movies is depicted as a negative trait. The male characters is probably self-centered, ill-tempered, evil, maybe radically religious, secretly gay. In other words, he's Mike Pence. But this is not true. This video will show how modern Hollywood incorrectly portrays masculinity and how past movies did it much better. We briefly touched on this topic before on our Power of the Dog review. A movie that depicts masculinity as accurately as pornography depicts plumbers. Oh no, we couldn't possibly let that slide. So like the 6-year-old that keeps kicking the back of your airplane seat, it's only a matter of time before a man runs out of patience and fucks to give before giving the little brat a stunner.
Before this smackdown is layeth, let's just give a definition of what masculinity is, shall we? Thank God we've got mainstream media to quickly answer this question.
When you say masculinity, I think testicles.
Being a man's good. I don't know any different. I love being a man. I love other men.
I identify as trans, specifically as transmasculine.
What the fuck?
Well, that failed. Let's try Google. A quick Google search will tell you that masculinity is defined as qualities or attributes regarded as characteristic of men or boys. These characteristics can be defined as strength, ambition, leadership, heroism, and status. Keep that in mind as we share some common themes these Starbucks coffee drinking Hollywood assholes keep trying to drill into your heads.
What time is it?
It's time to pass judgment.
In the name of Jesus.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
I execute judgment on you.
Everybody say hello to the bad guy.
Well, firstly, masculine men are depicted as villains. The case can be made that evil male characters always carried masculine traits, but films before used to remedy that by having equally masculine good guys. Now every character with a pair of testicles seems to be a villain.
Who invited you? We won't be gone long enough to need a cook.
Hey, we're just being friendly.
Yeah, where you going? So what, you too good to talk to us?
Why are you allowed to say all this shit about men and we're supposed to just sit here and take it?
Because men have all the power.
Ladies, look to your left. Now look to your right. Statistics indicate that both of those men will rape you.
I'm not gonna rape you. I might.
Even if they're supposed to be the good guys, they have some destructive traits.
From our experience, the greatest danger to the multiverse, it turns out, is Doctor Strange.
It's as if being a man means you're inherently a threat to society by default. Terminator Dark Fate, for example, sneaks in sly jabs like this.
And let me guess, Danny gives birth to the one man that can stop it.
But I'm nothing. I'm nobody.
Yeah, you're not the threat. It's your womb.
In Prey, aside from Naru's brother, all of the men, both the settlers and the natives, are assholes.
You're too afraid to hunt. Go back to camp where you belong.
Aren't they supposed to be the good guys?
All men are bastards!
And don't even start with Alex Garland's film Men.
There's an intruder in my garden, a man. He isn't wearing any clothes, and I think he might be stalking me.
Might as well been directed by a purple-haired college student majoring in gender studies with a minor in liberal arts.
So say goodnight to the bad guy.
Everybody fucking hates you.
Modern movies love to depict men as overly macho with an over-exaggerated display of their masculinity. Oftentimes, this is because they're hiding the fact that they're insecure or secretly gay and ashamed to come out. Films today will have you believing that if a man loves being a man and does shit like lift weights, fight, hustle, and keep frame, he must be jacking off to a shirtless Arnold Schwarzenegger right before bedtime. In The Power of the Dog, we have Phil Burbank, portrayed as an over-the-top macho cowboy who enjoys burning paper flowers and bullying his sister-in-law's son, who's on the feminine side because, you guessed it, Phil is insecure about his own sexuality.
Ah, gay!
Star Wars The Last Jedi has a similar fucking issue. Kylo Ren is supposed to be an imposing villain. His grandfather was Darth Vader, for fuck's sake. Instead, he's written as an emotional little bitch who throws hissy fits whenever something doesn't go his way.
Prepare my ship.
He fails to prove himself as a leader, thus is unsure of himself and can't control his emotions. Using Hollywood's logic, we should assume that if men are using masculinity to cover up their love for Sex and the City, then women are using their femininity to cover up their love for automatic rifles.
But you push away like you push everybody away because you're a fucking dick.
All men are misogynistic.
Masculinity, when applied to men, is depicted as toxic and misogynistic. This is a favorite theme of liberal Hollywood. The prime message is that such men see women as nothing more than baby factories who should stay in their lane, and women, almost always the good guys, need to rebel against this. The film would depict a woman trying to do a man's job and oftentimes being put down and ridiculed for it.
I'm not about to let a man take credit for a woman's work.
We mentioned earlier films such as Dark Fate and Prey exemplifying these themes, but shows like She-Hulk take it to another level.
Please, not that.
The final episodes literally focused on an online community of incels who wanted to shame and attack Jennifer.
This is the truth, presented by intelligentsia. She-Hulk does not deserve your attention. She does not deserve your praise. And she's a slut.
She just sucks, okay? And I'm not just saying that because she's a female.
Movies like The Last Jedi.
Oh, please, not this again.
Had the character Poe, who was shamed by his female boss for being immature, stubborn, and a hothead, despite being reasonable and having really reasonable concerns.
I just want to know what's going on.
Of course you do. I understand. I've dealt with plenty of trigger-happy flyboys like you. You're impulsive, dangerous, and the last thing we need right now. So stick to your post and follow my orders.
They're cutting off his penis in there.
The message here being that men should never question women because they know what's best.
Girls get it done.
Jedediah, I need you. Hey, I know you can hear me, Jed. So quit playing and come home now.
Your dad's scary.
Ah, yes. Another favorite of Hollywood's is the male character who acts overly macho because he has daddy issues and deep down yearns to be loved. It's the stereotypical, emotionally damaged male protagonist or antagonist who's a victim of their father's toxic masculinity. It's the story about how generations of toxic men have failed to properly raise sons to be real men. Real men who are softer than the stuffed bear from those old Snuggle fabric softener commercials.
Let's refer back to The Last Jedi.
You can't keep getting away with this!
Earlier we mentioned Kylo Ren being an emotional bitch. Of course, part of this is because he had a father who neglected him.
Your son, he's gone.
He was weak and foolish, like his father.
I'm being torn apart. I want to be free of this pain.
And an uncle who tried to kill him in his sleep.
And with consequence.
Butters? Butters! I can't do it! I can't do it!
Due to the failures of the men in his life, Kylo is unable to deal with his emotions and needs a hug.
With a great big hug.
According to this article from Den of Geek, the men in The Last Jedi exhibited toxic behaviors because of their inability to deal with their emotions.
Wait a second.
Whoever wrote this article clearly never worked for a female boss, because they'd know the inability to deal with emotions is actually a feminine trait, not a masculine one. And you know what? That's fine. Women are women and men are men.
You can't say that anymore.
It's offensive.
Masculinity has nothing to do with getting in touch with your emotions and displaying them in an overt way.
Other shows like Peacemaker and The Boys are riddled with themes on abusive fathers and toxic masculinity. Peacemaker is a product of his father's racist and homophobic views, as well as his abusive nature.
How did my fucking sperm go into a Nancy boy like you?
I knew you was unclean when you were born. I knew when you slept with the whores that polluted blood and men!
Of course, being an old white guy means Peacemaker's dad won't have any redeeming qualities. He's basically a KKK member. On The Boys, the showrunners make no doubt about it that Homelander is a byproduct of toxic masculinity. He's a powerful superhero slash villain who secretly yearns to be loved and accepted by those around him. He wants to be loved by his father, another toxic white guy who neglects him.
Maybe if I'd raised you, I could have made you better, and not some weak, sniveling pussy starved for attention. Weak? You. I know. You're a fucking disappointment.
See a pattern here, folks?
Well, a boy's best friend is his mother.
That's definitely you.
Ollie and I could keep listing ways on how Hollywood has shitted all over men and masculinity all day. I mean, we haven't even gotten to the deconstruction of legacy characters, such as the T-800 and Luke Skywalker.
I am going to kill you.
I understand.
Oh, no.
Or the absolute lack of strong black and brown male characters.
Or how every straight white male is automatically a villain.
Come to think of it, all masculinity is portrayed as toxic. What the fuck is positive masculinity then?
Anytime it's portrayed by a woman, Ollie. See, one could keep going on with this shit. The point is, unless you've been living in a fucking cave, anybody with basic internet and a smartphone could see the trend that mainstream Hollywood has taken over the past few years. Female characters, more often than not, are depicted as good stoic men, and male characters are depicted as unstable emotional women.
I can take him.
You're emotional.
I can take him.
We need to adjust.
And to really understand how jarring this change has been, just look at the past. Gone are the days
Ain't like the old days, dog.
when male characters behaved like actual men. The male and female dynamic was more complementary back then. Male heroes were always masculine, if not overly masculine for their era, but guess what? It wasn't looked down upon. Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator flexing a vein the size of my fucking head was not considered toxic masculinity, but added to the larger-than-life persona we loved. He was believable as the Terminator and as Dutch in The Predator.
Get to the chopper!
John McClane being stoic and calm in Die Hard allowed him to be resourceful and save the day. Imagine if he had been crying hysterically. Everyone would have died, including him.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Imagine if Jules Winfield hadn't been calm, cool, and collected during the diner scene in Pulp Fiction. Shit would have ended in a bloodbath.
Cool.
Correctamundo. And that's what we're gonna be. We're gonna be cool.
It's traits like that that made James Bond so great, being calm, cool, collected, and always ready for danger, but never letting it get to him, and ladies loved him for it.
I changed into something more comfortable. Oh, I hope I did the right thing.
You did the right thing.
Attaboy!
So what if he was a hit with the ladies? Now it would be portrayed as a crime.
You seem like a man who's gagging for some action, Mr. Bond.
Don't you think we ought to get to know each other just a little bit,
Oh,
No.
They'd shame him into wanting to cut off his balls.
I'ma cut off his balls and I'ma chop off his dick.
Rocky Balboa and Apollo Creed training over some testosterone-fueled 80s music could come off as cheesy, but it's about the message. Rocky always pushed himself beyond his limits and overcame the odds no matter how stacked up they were against him. It wasn't toxic masculinity. It was about doing the best that you could do no matter the outcome.
Yo, Adrian! I did it!
Speaking of the Rocky films, you've got Adrian as a wife who is his biggest cheerleader, lover, cherisher, and healer. She's a feminine presence to Rocky's masculine character. And this shit worked. It worked because this fucking dynamic is what actually happens in the world. Adrian never complains about her man's drive to win. She's there for the ride and supports him along the way. Rocky is everything that a woman wants in a man. A go-getter. If the same Rocky films were produced in 2023, Adrian would be disgusted by her man's toxic masculinity and mansplaining his challenges, and would rise out of her position as a cheerleader and fucking beat Apollo Creed herself. Masculine men are not leaders, goal-driven, competitive, or anything like that in spite of women, like Hollywood suggests. We are this way because it's in our nature. It has nothing to do with putting women down. Trust me, the last thing we men care about is women adapting our crafts, which is why almost none of us watch the WNBA.
You know, Trey, you may think I'm being hard on you right now, but I'm not. What I'm doing is I'm trying to teach you how to be responsible. It's like your little friends across the street, they don't have anybody to show them how to do that. They don't. You're gonna see how they end up, too.
As stated before, a quick Google search will tell you what masculinity means, but it's more than that. Men are driven to create and explore. We've witnessed it throughout history. Men chasing excellence, to be the best that they could possibly be, whether that be in sports or science, or something that seems as simple as a tired father coming home after a long day at work in order to protect and provide for his family, and still having the energy to play with his kids.
I don't know how he does it.
Who?
Dad. 12-hour days, never sits, eats his lunch standing up, never takes a break. It's like he's not human. It's like he's something.
It's like he's Superman. Superman's my dad.
See, contrary to what Hollywood tells us, a man doesn't have to get in touch with his emotions and display them in an overt manner. In fact, a man who's in touch with his emotions is in control of them and is the unmovable mountain that his family and others rely on during tough times.
You my son, you my problem. I want you to give me the gun. You're my only son, and I'm not gonna lose you to no bullshit, you hear? I love you, man.
Hey, Dad, thanks for,
I love you.
Yeah, I know.
No matter how hard life may get, he does not break. Hollywood would have you believe that this type of man is an emotionless robot waiting to crack, a victim of generational toxic masculinity. But the truth is, there's no such thing as toxic masculinity, only toxic people.
Back on the shoulder. You adjust the microphone as you told, man.